Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just a reminder, since we have already met. My name is Alisa Vladimirovna Dinцис, and I'm a department chair at School 1242, specialized in English. Today, our video lecture is aimed mainly at those who seek to find tips on how to get ready for Task 4 of the speaking part at the Unified State Examination. In my perspective, the first thing we need to do is to get acquainted with the typical task. Please have a look at the screen. To get the highest number of points, we have to bear in mind the assessment criteria. The highest band score you can get for this task is 7 points, where you can get 3 points for the content, 2 points for the structure or organization, and 2 points for the language. As we know, the task itself comprises 5 main aspects. Let me remind you of them. So these aspects are the description of the pictures, the similarities, the differences between them, the speaker's opinion, his choice actually, which activity or experience he would prefer, and in the final part, the speaker will have to dwell upon the reasons why he or she has made this particular choice. And now, my dear listeners, I suggest playing a game. You will be the teachers, and I'm going to play a part of a student. I'm going to introduce a sample answer to you. I will try to be very careful with the second and the third criteria, with the structure and the language. However, I'm going to make some mistakes in the content criterion. Now, please pause the video for several seconds, get ready with a pen or a pencil and a sheet of paper. And while listening to me very closely, please take notes. Then, we are going to analyze the answer. In both pictures, we see people studying. The first picture shows a lecture, perhaps at a university. The teacher might be explaining something to the students. It seems that the lecture is quite interesting because most students are listening to the lecture. It looks as if some of the students are taking notes. These pictures have a lot in common. Both of them show groups of students engaged in studying. Besides, the action in these pictures takes place in a classroom. What is more, both groups of students seem to be genuinely interested in whatever they are doing, judging by their faces and postures. Another similarity is that some of the students in both pictures are writing something. However, these photos have certain differences too. In the first picture, the students are not expected to take part in the lesson. They are probably only expected to listen to the speaker. While in the second picture, the students seem to be very active participants. They might be discussing something or, perhaps, they are playing a game. Personally, I would prefer to attend a seminar rather than a lecture. It is obvious that this answer leaves much to be desired in terms of complying with the assessment criteria. Now, I suggest looking at the screen again. The following mistakes need to be emphasized. As you have noticed, ladies and gentlemen, there is no introduction. Unfortunately, there is no description of the second picture. You must have noticed a repetition of the word studying both in the introduction and in the part that highlights the comparisons. Please do your best to avoid repetitions and substitute them by synonyms. There is only one difference. Try to find at least 2 of them. There is no explanation why the person would like to attend a seminar rather than a lecture. I wish the answer had a conclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, I do really appreciate your cooperation. Thank you very much. And now, let's go ahead and try to improve the answer. I'm confident our second answer, our second try, is going to be much better. So, let's go ahead. I would like to compare and contrast these 2 pictures. In both pictures, we see people studying. The first picture shows a lecture, perhaps at a university. The teacher might be explaining something to the students. It seems that the lecture is quite interesting because most students are listening to the lecture. It looks as if some of the students are taking notes. In the second picture, we also see a group of students. Perhaps they are doing some kind of task at a seminar or a workshop. These pictures have a lot in common. Both of them show groups of students engaged in an academic process. Besides, the action in these pictures takes place in a classroom. What is more, both groups of students seem to be genuinely interested in whatever they are doing, judging by their faces and postures. Another similarity is that some of the students in both pictures are writing something. However, these photos have certain differences too. In the first picture, the students are not expected to take an active part in the lesson. They are probably expected to listen to the speaker, while in the second picture, the students seem to be active participants. They might be discussing something, or perhaps they are playing a game. What is more, in the first picture, the students are sitting at the desk with their teacher in front of them, whereas in the second picture, the students are sitting in a circle. Finally, there are a lot of students in the first picture. In contrast, the group in the second picture is relatively small. Personally, I would prefer to attend a seminar rather than a lecture. Firstly, I believe that it's easier to study in a small group because you get distracted less. In addition, I would like to be an active participant rather than a listener. Finally, I believe people remember material better when they have an opportunity to discuss it together or role play. Thank you for your attention. That's all I've got to say. It is of crucial importance to start your answer with a brief introduction and end it with an appropriate conclusion, despite the fact that there is no word about it in the task. However, it is mentioned in the assessment criteria. Please take into consideration that you're advised to use at least 12, better 15 meaningful phrases. Please be very careful with the word describe, since it is mentioned in the first aspect only. Try to concentrate on comparing and contrasting. Don't overuse such phrases as in the top left corner, or in the background, or in the foreground. They may be misleading and direct your answer into the wrong channel. Now, I just want to remind you again that our task comprises 5 main aspects. So, these aspects are: in the very first part, in the introduction, you have to provide your listener with the description of the pictures. Then, you will have to mention their similarities. Then, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to dwell upon differences between these two pictures. Then, you will have to say which picture you prefer, but not really the picture, but the activity or experience that is depicted in this particular photo. Please be very careful with this. And in the final part, you will have to explain why you have made this choice. What do I mean by the word explain? I mean that you have to provide your listener with the reasons why you have made this particular choice. Now, I would recommend you to pause the video again and copy the phrases that you are going to see on the screen. I'm sure you will benefit from using them while working on this task at the Unified State Examination. And now, let's match the phrases with the aspects they are supposed to be used in. So let's have a look at the first one. Okay, so what is it? Let me start with the first photo. It takes place or it depicts. Another photo is about. What aspect is it supposed to be used in, guys? Good job! Absolutely! It is the description of the pictures. And the second one. The left photo has or shows or is, whereas the right one, so I give you some time to think it over, and the key word here is definitely whereas. It gives us a hint that we talk about the comparisons, right? Great! Number 3, that is why I would prefer this experience. I have come to the end of my talk. Thank you for listening. Okay, you are a brick. I have just heard your correct answer. It is the explanation why the speaker prefers this experience in the last aspect. Great! And we keep going. However, in the right picture there is... Yeah, now it's getting much easier. Good job! It is the difference part since the word however is used. This is the reason why I would like to try this activity. That's all I've got to say. And this is another reason why this speaker has made this particular choice. This phrase is supposed to be used in the final part. Excellent! I'm very proud of you, my dear listeners. I want to give you a short talk about the pictures introduced in the task. Okay? Absolutely! It is the introduction part, the description of the pictures. You go! And the last one is the following. Both pictures have got or there is or there are in both of them. So, yes, I had heard your answers. Great! You got it right. The word both is driving at the similarities. Thank you very much. Speculation is another significant part of completing this task. The answer above is a very good example of an answer of a talk full of speculation structures. However, it is not a must to use a variety of such constructions as a unified state examination. Now, let me draw your attention to the screen. Let's try to revise some useful phrases to speculate what is going on in the photo. So the first one says, it looks, or it seems, or it feels. Let us try to complete the sentence. Okay, so my variant is that the lecture is quite interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and try the second one. It looks as if what, ladies and gentlemen? So, let's try to remember some of the expressions from the answer above. Some of the students are taking notes, for instance. Why not? Okay, now please try to come up with your own variants to complete the given sentences. Great! And we move on. Now it's time to practice an exercise that would definitely help you in comparing and contrasting the pictures. Let us go ahead and do a transformation exercise using the capitalized words on the lines below. So the first one says, there is not much difference between the left picture and the right one. We've got to use the word very. Your suggestions? So how about this one? The left picture is very similar to the right one. Yes, we got it. Very good. And let's move on. The photos have fairly similar backgrounds. We have to use the word quite. So, I'm sure that you have already come up with the right answers. And now, let us listen to me. The backgrounds of the photos have quite a lot in common. You agree, guys, don't you? Yeah, absolutely. The journal's titles are absolutely identical. We have to use the word exactly. Yeah, take your time. Here we go. The journals have exactly the same titles. Good job. And the last one. The activities people are engaged in have absolutely nothing in common. And we have to use the word different. Yeah, you are my bricks. People are engaged in completely different activities. Wonderful. I suggest using some cliché expressions. It will definitely help you to eliminate stress and save you time at the Unified State Examination. Now let me share with you one of the layouts that has been created in my class by one of my students. I hope you will find it really beneficial. The most important thing is that it has been written according to the assessment criteria. Let us try to apply this model to the real pictures. Okay, please have a look at the task. Let's go ahead. Now, I'm going to compare and contrast these two pictures. Both pictures relate to doing sports. The first photo depicts a little girl who is in the gym at the moment. The girl seems to be going to play table tennis because she is carrying a red tennis racket in her hand. In the middle of the gym, there is a big blue table with a tennis net on it. The second picture represents a young man running in the field. It might be summer because he is wearing a green t-shirt, black shorts, and white sport shoes. There are some similarities between these two pictures. One of them is that a girl and a young man look fit. Moreover, both pictures show young people who are wearing sports outfit. In addition, both pictures were taken during daylight hours. As we can see, the sun is shining. Nevertheless, it is fair to mention some differences between these two pictures. In the left photo, we can see a little girl whose hobby is playing tennis, whereas the man in the right picture seems to be a professional sportsman as he looks very sporty and strong. Then, in picture 1, table tennis is presented, and it is a team game as you need at least one more person to play it with, but as to the track and field athletics, it is an individual kind of sport and you do it on your own. The next difference is that the left picture shows the girl who is playing tennis indoors, while the young man in the right photo is going in for sports in the open air. Personally, I would prefer to take up table tennis because I'm fond of doing sports with my best friends and relatives. Secondly, this game develops quick thinking and reaction. Finally, you can do it outdoors as well as indoors, and bad weather cannot spoil the pleasure. In conclusion, I would like to say that both pictures make me think that sport is a great way to spend your free time, and of course, it is useful for your health. Thank you for your attention. That's all I wanted to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you can come up with your own ideas, make your own layouts, and use them while working on this task at the Unified State Examination. I hope you will find this video beneficial, and I'm sure it will definitely improve your speaking skills. Have a good luck, and thank you for your attention. See you again. Goodbye.